Are you ready to explore the invisible? Then you're in the right place at the right time. Hello, welcome to Wednesdays with Kryon. Monica and I are here again as we delve into the invisible realm and discover more about who we are. For 5 years now, actually over 5 years, we've been providing a spiritual sanctuary every single Wednesday night of the year. And this year, which is all about new beginnings, we thought it'd be the perfect time to change the format of how we present the show. Each time we come together, we love to begin with perhaps a little bit of fun. Next, we'll say some affirmations. Then we'll meet our special guest for the evening, followed by a short break. After the break, the rest of the program will continue, and we are genuinely excited by this new but familiar Wednesdays with Kryon. Our core soul family is here, ready for the first program of the year. We'd like to extend a warm welcome also to our YouTube audience. We're so glad you're here with us.
Now, for those of you who are familiar with Carroll and how Kryon came into his life, you already know the funny part of the story. But for those who don't, I would like to ask Lee to briefly tell us how he first heard the word Kryon and what he thought about it.
It's a very, very, I would say, familiar story to many, and we've talked about it many times. But when I first heard the word Kryon, it was from the lips of a channeler. And by the way, I was an engineer at the time. I wasn't interested in channeling at the time. I was dragged to this dude who channeled, and I thought he was nuts. Of course, that's what I do now, and people think I'm nuts, so it just, goes that way. However, he used the word Kryon. 3 years later, another guy I was dragged to also used the word Kryon, and they said, there's a magnetic master named Kryon trying to get a hold of you. Now, Kryon had never, ever been, I would say, heard that name, that word. It's new. So I didn't hear Kryon. I heard the only thing I knew that was close. Literally, I heard Kryon. Now, Kryon is a rust preventative spray paint primer. Here's what Kryon is. Here's the picture. And this is what I thought. So from that point on, literally, I told my partner at the time, Jan Tober, that the channelers had told me that spray paint is trying to get a hold of me. I mean, what else would it be? It's had to be, and I thought that was just a riot, because that just falls all within the new age craziness that I was seeing, folks. That was a long time ago.
Yes, I still remember that story, and I laugh every time I hear you share that part of the story. Thank goodness that you moved beyond spray paint, because Kryon really is here bringing messages of hope and telling us just how loved we are.
There's still part of the spray paint I contain, and that's when I say, let us spray. All right, sorry. I just thought I'd throw that in.
Oh my goodness, you're so naughty, but I love it. Yeah. We are dearly loved, and one of the ways we can remind ourselves of that fact is through the use of affirmations. We would like to set the energy for the rest of the evening to come with some affirmations. Affirmations are powerful. The words you speak carry energy, and your body is always listening. So we invite you to participate with us and claim these affirmations as your own. I am grateful for the unconditional love that emanates from my soul. My soul holds deep wisdom and knowledge. I am grateful for the unconditional love that emanates from my soul. My soul holds deep wisdom and knowledge.
I am grateful for the unconditional love that emanates from my soul. My soul holds deep wisdom and knowledge. I'm grateful for the unconditional love that emanates from my soul. My soul holds deep wisdom and knowledge. In this new energy, we're able to get in touch with the energy of our soul in a far grander way, I think, than ever before. What if this is the year we've been waiting for? What if this is our year? We believe good things are coming. And one of those good things is tonight's guest. I'd love for Monica to tell us more about Milagros Phillips.
So Milagros has been with us before back in 2023, and we are so excited that she has not retired, even though she has tried several times, but somehow the universe has other plans, and Milagros has always leaned in and said, yes. Don't you love that? I'm so glad she hasn't retired. Known as the race healer, Milagros Phillips has spent more than 35 years consulting, designing and facilitating strategic race literacy and healing programs to enhance companies' diversity, equity and inclusion initiatives. And from corporate leaders to members of Congress, Milagros has more than changed minds. She has changed hearts. She's a keynote speaker, an award-winning author, certified coach, and innovative leader.
Milagros is the creator of Race Demystified, a compassionate approach to healing from racial conditioning, a life-transforming experience, truly. She is the author of Cracking the Healer's Code, a prescription for healing racism and finding wholeness, which has received several awards. Milagros is also the creator of a monthly race literacy lunch and learn group. She facilitates online, doing this for some time, and her transformative life coaching program on Tuesday nights changes lives.
Milagros, it is so great to have you with us once again. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me back. I am so happy to see both of you. This is really such an honor for me. I still remember reading the first Kryon book. It was in the 90s, not trying to date you or anything, but... And my friends and I, who were just learning to channel, and were just thrilled. And so I'm so thankful that you've kept up the work. Thank you so much for doing that for both
Very,
of us.
very good. Well, can you, I know this is, tell your life story as I give you 30 seconds. Can you briefly share with us your journey to race healing?
Yeah, it was actually the day that Dr. King was killed. I was watching television with my father. My mother had gone to the grocery store, and I locked myself in the bathroom to cry because I was so upset. And I didn't want my father to see me crying. And he knocked on the door a couple of times asking me if I was okay. And I said yes, but I wasn't. I was devastated. And in New York, the apartment where we live, they have these poles that go from like the basement all the way up to the last floor to heat up the bathrooms. And I heard a voice behind the pole that said, "You're to continue the work." I had no idea what that meant. I was 13 years old, and there was no. So I spent the rest of my life trying to avoid doing race work. I mean, like I would do anything, I was a sound therapist, and I got to do some wonderful things with sound, and went all over Europe doing sound healing work. I paint, so you see some of my paintings behind me. I'm an artist, and so like I have all these gifts that the creator gave me, which at one point I was like, you just make up your mind, just give me one, just one. But I just, so I would do everything and anything not to do race work. Because remember, the awakening to my calling was a man who had been murdered. Not an easy thing to say yes to. So, but I kept doing, I was doing, like I said, everything and anything, but race would always come up. And I started to do diversity work in organizations, and race would always come up. And I realized at one point that I had a very different view of race and racism than other people. And so somehow, that was the calling, and it kept calling me till I finally said yes. And I think I finally said yes when I was offered a job at an organization that was going to be started, hadn't even started yet, and it was called the National Resource Center for the Healing of Racism. And I avoided talking to those folks for about 6 weeks, and one day I answered the phone, and I ended up going on an interview with them at 7 o'clock in the evening when they could get the whole board together. And at 9 o'clock, they called and offered me the job. And I moved from Massachusetts to the Midwest, and was there for about 3 years doing that work, refining it. That's when I came up with Race Demystified. It had a different name then. But that really, I love this work. I have the very humbling honor of seeing people transform before my very eyes, people making realizations and connections that they had never made before. And so I just absolutely, I love it. And like I said, I keep trying to retire and I keep getting called back. So, and I keep saying yes, because I could say no, but I do keep saying yes because I love this work. I love our human family. I love that we are so connected at levels that people have yet to begin to understand. And so this is the work.
So beautiful. And I'm aware, Milagros, that your work has also started to incorporate some other healing aspects that involve our ancestors and how our ancestors' trauma can actually live in our body. And I know that that's a passion of yours. Are you able to just briefly tell us about tonight's experience about ancestors and the trauma in our body?
Sure, yeah. So we now, through research, understand something that was understood for eons. I mean, it's even written in the Bible, that trauma gets passed on from generation to generation. There's a little thing that said, the sins of the father shall be visited on the son 7 generations hence. Basically, if you substitute the word sin for trauma, which, as we all know, words have changed meaning. When you substitute that word, it's the trauma of, the family shall be passed on, basically. And it does. And we now know through research that it does get passed on from one generation to another for at least 6 to 7 generations. And so a lot of what we're experiencing today, whether it's, through our physical bodies, especially, has to do with trauma that was suffered by our ancestor. And so if we look at our biological lineage, you can get a lot of information about what's going on in your body, your mind, your spirit, and your emotions. And I discovered this by doing the race work, because what I realized was that people are traumatized and they don't know that they're traumatized. And we know that traumatized people traumatize others. And we also know that that trauma does get passed on from one generation to the next. So the work that we're going to do today is helping you find where certain things live in your body, and then doing some energy work and maybe even some sound work, depends on what gets channeled in the moment, to just sort of give us a framework for who we are in terms of our ancestors. I mean, the theory is that our ancestors sent us here to finish the work that they started.
That's awesome. I hope you're feeling as inspired as we are. I'm chatting with Milagros, everyone. Right now, we're going to take a short 5-minute break. And after that, we'll return with a full experience from her, some meditations, channeling, miracle moments, and the Circle of 12.